Curtis, we see this with John Brennan, James Comey.
Yeah.
How many primetime CNN and MSNBC hosts, guests, contributors, commentators lied to Congress and perhaps may be penalized and punished for their crimes?
Yeah, we got to a point where I guess if my friends do it, then I guess I can do it too, I feel like. And you notice how, like, sad they all are, how upset they were when James Comey was indicted. And anytime you're talking about...
Do you think they were just jealous?
Yeah, they were probably jealous. Yeah, and they know it's coming too because the way that they talk, it's such an incestuous relationship between all of them. They're all friends, so you can obviously tell. And I did a study when the Tulsi Gabbard documents came out versus the actual fake Russia investigation that went on for years. It was 1,000 times more coverage on ABC, CBS, and NBC in the first 2 weeks. So I would just have to say these people are all divas. They're all divas, and they're just trying to one-up each other with more incendiary rhetoric that turns out has consequences. You can't lie to Congress. How about that? That we restore, consequences if you don't tell the truth.
And Daniel, I think Curtis.
Glad that Donald Trump is known for telling the truth.
Curtis did the study that looked at the lack of coverage from liberal outlets about the fairly sensational revelations that Tulsi Gabbard found earlier this year, and the disproportionate coverage given to the Russia collusion hoax when it first came out, and the ignoring of the rejection of this. I'm curious what you think goes into an ABC News or a CNN when they decide to not cover something like that. That was a giant scandal Tulsi Gabbard uncovered.
I'm sure they did some coverage, but not as much as you would want. But the problem with this is that if you're going to have Republicans in this administration spend so much time relitigating stuff that happened 8 years ago, stuff that is not affecting the average American's pocketbooks, their daily lives, their economy, their kids, how does John Brennan affect how the average American lives their life?
I'm holding you back.
Hold me back. Daniel Littman, how dare you? When I was at the White House the first term, and we had to go through Russia hoax, Russia hoax, Russia hoax, where it was the FBI, the CIA, the Democrats, basically obstructing the work of President Trump and his administration, someone has to be held accountable for what they created, this complete lie, this complete deep state corruption, that their only goal was to take down President Trump. So absolutely, we need to go back and figure out who these criminals are, who lied to Congress, who tried to destroy Donald Trump, and basically, in essence, obstruct every piece of work that he was trying to push through. Because all they were doing was leaking to the media and then directing the CIA
then he should do the work.
Include the Steele dossier, which is one of the biggest bogus, I would say, campaign research document.
It's a worse work
that should
of
have
fiction.
never been used.
The Steele dossier is a worse work of fiction than whatever James Comey is currently writing right now. And Daniel, I know that for a lot
and John Bolton, he's still writing op-eds
for a lot,
even though he's been charged.
For a lot of liberal journalists, it is hard to remember that we once had a president who could walk and chew gum at the same time after having 4 years of Joe Biden, who could barely walk and probably couldn't chew gum. Now, John Brennan himself, it's worth noting, he pled innocence while responding to the House Republicans' referral. Let's guess where he did this. Oh, he did it on MS-13 DNC.
Individuals like a Jim Jordan are going to go after somebody. I served nearly 3.5 decades in public service, a lot involved in counterterrorism in the aftermath of 9/11. They don't care about doing things like this to destroy individuals, to go after me, to hurt me and my family and others. And so, I'm saddened by what has happened. Sometimes I'm dispirited and disheartened. At the same time, I feel motivated to be able to stand up. And I'm glad that other people are standing up as well. And I see that more and more people are starting to realize what Donald Trump is all about. And so I'm hoping that the Republicans in Congress, I know it's a wish that I've had for quite a while, they're really going to draw the line.
Elizabeth, all of this only happened a few hours ago earlier today, but I'm curious, as you cover the White House, what you think the ramifications of this fairly big criminal referral are going to be.
I think that press conference we talked about earlier with Caroline Leavitt and Tulsi Gabbard was perhaps the only way that the media would have covered something like this, was to really just put it right there in front of them when all the media are in a room, a captive audience. And so I think that was a really smart move there to get their attention on this. And like you've been saying, this type of thing will happen again if we don't hold it accountable. Even if it was years ago, law and order has to be maintained.
I think also Tulsi Gabbard had a nice little flow chart behind her during that press conference. She made it really easy for a lot of the dumb people in the White House press briefing room to be able to understand how this went from Barack Obama directing the manipulation of the intelligence assessment. And that's what you were talking about, Mercy. It's not just that this is...
I wasn't just talking about it. I was passionate about it.
By the way, you endured it. You lived through this yourself while you were working there. But we can't have a deep state and a CIA and an intelligence community in America that is doing what it does in foreign countries. Look, I have nothing against them destabilizing other countries as a rule. Like, we got to make sure that it ends well, but we should not be doing that and subverting the will of the American people.
No, and the CIA identifying who they believe are the enemy of the state within our own country. And then guess what? The media, the leftist media, not even held accountable for all the lies that they published on the Russia hoax by not in any way objectively covering that issue. And just think about it, all the leaks that came out from the CIA and came out of the FBI to the media, where they themselves were driving this narrative, this propaganda, which their whole goal was to take down President Trump and his administration.
And by the way, it's worth noting that, much like in Scooby-Doo, the deep staters and these journalists, they all would have gotten away with their lies were it not for the American people in 2024. Tulsi Gabbard obviously would never have been in a position to release these documents had Donald Trump not trounced Kamala Harris.
Would you be